Thank you. As Eli mentioned, I'm Iva, and what I do every day for a living is I take the one software from development and deploy it to production. And I'm engaged also around the process of this day-to-day task. Today I'm here, and I would like to tell you a story about development transformation of my team. And actually, it's a story about a butterfly. Probably you already know this really beautiful insect. What is typical for this insect is that throughout its lifetime, it goes through different stages. It starts its life from this tiny little eggs to transform at the end to this beautiful and full of perfection creature. In nature, this process is called metamorphosis. Metamorphosis, back then, when my team and in general my team, we decided to undergo this development transformation because we were already in that point of time in the project that the maturity and the ambitious scope that was ahead of it somehow started requiring it. Currently, I'm working in a product which is called circular economy, and more specifically, our product is related to the development of a product which helps industry to reduce the packaging or how recyclability of the packagings that they are using. Back then, our transformation sounded like a real metamorphosis for us. And of course, we already had in our heads the perfect butterfly that we wanted to have at the end of the process transformation. We imagine it like we'll deliver very fast features to the customers in the best quality ever imagined. We will do this in constant collaboration with the development and DevOps teams, and they will drive the continuous improvement, exactly improving the stability and the faster updates to the customers. And we'll base our decisions based on metrics that all those points will give us, and this will help us somehow manage our capacity and priorities in the best possible way. I don't know what happened. Actually, probably the reality happened. But instead of a really beautiful butterfly, we got into the point of the cockroach. And more or less, we were into the situation not of a butterfly, but of a butterfly effect, which probably this is a chaos theory that it's talking about, which is behind which is the fact that if you do something small, like butterfly doing some wing stuff, and this could cause an effect on the other side of this system, and this could be like a tornado or another natural disaster. In the context of our industry, how it looked the result of our first result of our transformation, we were a multicultural team, multinational. Even third-party company was working for us at that point of time. And as mentioned, this actually made the alignments and the communication really hard between us. Our beta delivery took like 6 months of development and 2 weeks of testing, which is actually caused us a lot of stress. Unfortunately, all the teams that we were trying to work together, we were on different level of technical expertise, of different experience in the cloud technology as a whole and in cloud culture as a whole. And this, of course, slows us down in delivering software and delivering features and responding to the business needs as quickly as we wanted to be. On top of that, we didn't have actually a process. And this somehow contributed furthermore to our miscommunication and misalignment. On top of that, we did our stuff manually. Yes, unfortunately. We did testing manually, we did the deployment manually, and our process looked like this. Every day, when we want to deploy our code to production, we gather it in a call with QAs, we say, okay, are you feeling confident? Did you test on dev? Yes, I have tested. I feel confident we can deploy. Then we deploy to test, then we again test manually, then at the end on the production, me and my colleague we are sharing our duties on this delivery process. We're about to test the end-to-end process of the customers there and to ensure once again that really we did not bring any degradation issue or problem for the end-to-end customer. So as you can see, it was not exactly what we wanted to have as a process transformation. And we needed to get back and look back in one of the previous stages of our transformation and decide and evaluate what we are missing, what we want to be, and what will be our core beliefs at the end. This time we started with a short research. And this research, the goal of this research was to see how the leaders in the cloud industry are doing it. What are their best practices? What are their best standards that they're following? Or what is their expertise from their ideas and this good performance is coming from? And we came out to the DORA. DORA, most of you have heard, but for those who have not, DORA stands for DevOps Research and Assessment. It's a mainly organization that analyzes data in the context of deployment processes and in general software engineering. And it comes out with different standards that the perception is if you follow those standards, we will be at the end doing very good job. About the standards, they come out with 4 different KPIs, which sounds like really natural to follow or to adopt at the end. Those KPIs are deployment frequency. What does it stand for deployment frequency? It's how often you deploy your code from production to from development to production. And here the standard or the goal is to do it very often and on small and scalable items or features. Lead time for change. Lead time for change is actually the time that you need your commit to go from master to production. Mean time to restore. It's the time that it's required as soon as you have brought your code is deployed to production, and for some reason it caused a certain degradation or disruption of any services. It's how much time it's required for you to restore this service and put it back to normal state. And change failure rate is actually related to the previous one, is how often does this activity actually happens, how often you bring problems to production and they cause these disruptions. At that point of time, these standards sounded like a real match for us and a real good path forward. And definitely something that was matching us, the idea of good process and good standards for delivery. On top of that, what we have learned by now from our experience is that everything was changing in the cloud. Tools, infrastructure, process, and this should have been something that we have adopted very earlier. But unfortunately, we did not. Even if you know this Darwin's book, which is Origin of Species, there it says that not the one that is most intelligible, not the one species that is most intelligible in the nature survives, but actually the one that is most adaptive one. So this was like a motto that we needed really to clearly communicate and set the stage for our colleagues that this should be something that they will need to accept because it's there. On top of that, of course, these items by now are more related to the cultural part, how we actually technologically framed this cultural part, is that we agreed that everything that we do will be automated, from testing to deployment and everything around it. We will deploy our code to a single trunk, which will help us escape the complexity of multi-branching support. And we will deploy our code behind feature toggles, which will enable us to feel more confident as soon as we have our code on production and it's behind feature toggle, and this feature toggle is not enabled, we are on the safe side that we won't break anything. And we did it. We clearly communicate these core beliefs to the teams. We set the stage for them. We discussed, and somehow was accepted that we are all on the same path, and we can restart ourselves and restart our process. Of course, not the best intentions, unfortunately, gives you the best result at the end. And the next slide will show it. These were the first results from DORA that we received or calculated. Our deployment frequency was between day and a week. And the standard here was every day, even more frequent. The change lead time was between 1 day and 1 week. And actually, the target is less than an hour. The change failure rate was between 46 and 60%, which is high. And the target here was even set from DORA, it's less than 15%. You can see yourself that it's far away from the standards. The lead time, the time to restore for us, or if we brought some certain degradation on production, also took from a day or between day and a week. In general, the standard here is 60 minutes. You can imagine how we were managing it at that point of time. And on top of that, we still had 60% effort in manual effort in the deployment and testing. The process was like we had automated tests, of course. Unfortunately, every day when we start our deployment, because the target was every day to deliver, either tests were failing for a reason, for example, service bug or something like that was identified by them, or the tests itself were flaky, or something with the deployment and the consequence of the task that should have been executed, something there went wrong. But manual effort was there, and it was 60%. These figures showed us that we have a right direction, definitely, but still some room for improvement. And we, again, went back to one of the previous stages of our metamorphosis and do further analysis what actually we could improve further on. On top of the effort to automate everything, we were at the end missing some good practices in the development in cloud. So we managed to contact different experts to join different communities to take their best practices and adopt it directly for us. Of course, the ones that made most sense. We joined different communities in regards of automated testing, best practices in WebDriver, because we are using WebDriver and SourceLab, actually. And we promoted different educational sessions for the colleagues, and somehow, at that point, colleagues were already feeling more confident in what they were doing. And this showed here in the next results that we have measured. Our deployment frequency currently, even today, it's every day. I would say that sometimes we deploy 2 or 3 times a day to production. Change lead time is a maximum of a day, because we can do every time during the working hours, as soon as we need to deploy something, either urgent fix or, for example, some urgent feature, because it happens to be so. Our change failure rate is like 30%, which is not that good according to the standards, but we are going there. And I think that we are improving. Our time to restore currently is between 2 and 3 hours. And it depends on some technical stuff around it, like migrations and so on, which in general takes more time. But trying to improve also that. And the manual effort, currently it's less than 1%, which means not only our tests are automated, our deployment is automated, and me and my colleagues are more like observers of the process, not mainly engaged with doing it. And as you see, we definitely improved. I was sure that we do not stop there. we constantly revise our processes, how we're doing, and we are continuing improving, changing tools, adopting different practices. One thing that I would like to mention here is that as soon as you find out something that it irritates you, that definitely doesn't feel good when you go to work and you don't want to go to work because of it, seems that this is a sign for you that these things need to be changed or automated, depends on what is it. So don't be afraid to do it. Also, when you select KPIs and you're on the path to change or to transform yourself or the process that you're following, the KPIs or the standards that you want to select for you and for your team are actually take in consideration that these standards will not only change the process, the tools, the infrastructure, they will change your colleagues in their behavior, which at the end will be the driver of better performance, better delivery, and so on. And at the end, I would like to ask you, are you on the way of the cockroach now? Or you have a room for improvement? Or you're already in the butterfly path and you have very good practices that probably you want to share with the others? Thank you.
Thank you, Iva. We have a couple of minutes for questions. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand. I'll come to you. Okay, a question.
Thank you. I wanted to ask, what's the time interval between the evaluations of how are you doing?
The time interval between the evaluations, first was like 1 year when we did the first iteration. After that, it happened to be quite often. And the next time was like 3 months. As soon as we understand that we cannot continue with that, is this test flaky actually, or there is a bug, how much time do you need to fix it? Yes, we will wait for 2 hours you to fix it, then we will deploy to the next stage, then again something similar like a situation, and our deployment took between 10 and 12 hours in a working day of 8. So this was a single sign that we need to improve there. And usually, I would not say that you need to stick to timeframes. You need to stick to signs like this. If something bothers me and causes me trouble, then I need definitely to stop and change it or reanalyze it again. And actually, these pictures are generated from AI just to be able to relate to the other topics.
We have another question.
Hello. Yeah, I wanted to ask, so these are the core for DORA metrics, but actually some other teams share that they benefit from the other DORA metrics as well. There are a lot of them. And do you plan to also use the other of them, or are just you focused on getting better at these 4? Thank you.
Well, yes, thanks. We are actually currently focusing on that one. And we want to stabilize there to go actually into the best numbers. We are striving for that. And but as I mentioned, we don't stop in transforming or do not stop in changing or improving. So why not? But let's start from here. I mean, cover these basics and then continue.
A chance for a last question. Do I see any hands? Yes.
What is your lead time from idea to production?
From idea to production? Hard to say. Depends on the business case. If it's quite complex from recyclability, because we are doing some reports on how much packaging you are using, what kind of packaging. And some countries are quite detailed there, so we need quite some time to analyze the requirements as to be able after that to develop them. But mostly we deliver features every Wednesday. Because we deploy every day, but we deliver features every Wednesday, which means every week. So you imagine how we do our analysis and requirements detailing, like to be able to do this every week. It's hard to judge, unfortunately, but yes. Delivering features every week could somehow speak to you how we are doing this.
Thank you, Ivo, for this interesting session and sharing all of these insights with us. And yeah, please give a round of applause to Iva. Thank you.
Thank you.